Alright, so the last thing that we're going to do today is convert from rectangular coordinates to polar, so go in the opposite direction. A big thing we want to remember are our formulas, so we've got to find r and theta, because remember we're going from an xy to r theta. So we've got to find r, so r squared is x squared plus y squared. It is basically just the Pythagorean, that's where that's coming from. And then we know tangent of theta is going to be y over x. Once again, it's just from SOHCAHTOA. So then in the end, we're eventually going to be doing inverse tangent so that we can get the angle by itself. Another trick is to plot out your rectangular so that you know what your angle should be, because we're always going to get the reference angle. But if you look at this, -1, negative radical 3 is going to fall somewhere in the third quadrant. So if, for instance, my final answer becomes 45 degrees, I know that's not my actual theta because the reference angle would be 45. I would have to add 180 to that. So we'll go through this. We've got x and y. We're going to find r and theta. So r squared is going to be -1 squared plus negative radical 3 squared. R squared is going to be 1 plus 3, which is 4, so that means r is 2. I've got part of it. Now I need to find the angle. So I'm going to set up tangent of theta, and it's going to be y over x, so the negatives cancel. So I'm basically just looking to say tangent of theta is radical 3. Find the angle where tangent is radical 3. Well, that happens at pi over 3, but if you think about it, pi over 3 is going to fall right there. That's not where my rectangular coordinate fell. So we got to think about it in terms of unit circle. Well, third quadrant, that's going to actually be 4 pi over 3. We've converted to my polar. We'll do the second one same way. Let's plot it first. So 0, 3 is going to fall right there. We probably could figure out the angle without even doing the math. We could probably also figure out the radius, or the r, without doing math, but we'll go through it. So it's 0 squared plus 3 squared. That means r squared is going to be 9, so r is 3. So we'll plug that in. Then if you want to do the math, it's going to be 3 over 0, which is going to be undefined. And then we would have to say, where is tangent undefined? Well, that's at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Well, which one falls at that point? That's got to be 1 pi over 2. So you could have found that without doing any of the math, just by looking at that graph or that sketch. That's another thing that helps. But if you wanted to go through and do the math, we've got my final answer either way.